This is the first edition of the Lecturing Birds How to Fly podcast, which is with John Burgess, the founder of Bugged Out. Thank you very much for doing this, John.
Okay.
Please, could you start by telling us about yourself and your career?
Well, I started promoting as an extension of a magazine I was running in the early to mid-90s called Jockey Slut. And when we were doing the magazine, we realised that we were basically speaking directly to DJs who needed somewhere to play basically in Manchester. There wasn't a very good techno club in Manchester at the time, so we started Bugged Out as an extension of the magazine. It's called Jockey Slut Presents Bugged Out initially, and we kind of reflected what music was in the magazine at the club night. And as the 90s was such an amazing decade for music mutating in various directions as well. When we opened the second room, we could accommodate drum and bass and big beat in that room, and obviously just remain techno in room one. So, but yeah, the first gig we actually ever promoted was against doing the magazine. Before Bugged Out, it's called Drinking Club. We had a sponsor who sponsored something in Jockey Slut. It was a Perry cider, and they wanted to do something trendy with the magazine. So we did this night where we took over a pub. Funnily enough, we had what would become the Chemical Brothers DJing. They were just friends of mine from university. Centet Yen DJing, who we got in touch with, and a band called El Brutus, who were an amazing sort of weird pop band. And we bought loads of John Player special cigarettes, put out on all the tables, and yeah, it was a weird sort of concept night, just called Drinking Club. But that was the first thing I ever promoted, and then Bugged Out came naturally. You get a bug for it, sort of putting the whole thing together, booking the acts that you want to book, doing the artwork the way you want to do it, and then seeing everyone go nuts. You sort of you get addicted to it.
So, how would you describe how would you summarise what it is you do today?
I would say it's Bugged Out still going 25 years on. I would say it's changed quite a lot. Mainly the control that we had back then, it was much more creative. The control's more in the hands of agents and managers more now. So we're almost like facilitate what they want to happen.
So for the uninitiated, your job is that you put on events, you organise the events, and you sell the tickets.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And you book the talent.
Yeah. Whereas I'd say in the 90s, and most of the noughties as well, we would book the talent that we wanted to book. We would put them on the flyer in the order that we wanted to put them on, and we'd program them at the club night as we saw fit. Whereas now, agents and managers pretty much, tell you what order, the artist will be on the bill, etc., and who they want to have on the bill with them as well. You don't really have as much control with that anymore either.
And what is the reason that they get to decide those things now and they didn't in the past?
I think in the past, agents and managers didn't treat DJs in the way they did rock stars in the past, whereas I think about 10 years ago, that became the case. Whereas a lot of we actually set up a DJ agency called Decked Out as an extension of Bugged Out in 2000. With that in mind, we sort of hooked up with Primary Talent, which is one of the biggest rock agencies, to organise DJs' diaries in that way. So that basically, rather than previously a DJ might have a friend looking after them, they wouldn't route their tours effectively. So they might play Brazil one day and then Manchester 2 days later or something. So they were treated more like touring artists, and they had a bit more power as well. So we would get them on festival bills because they would want a rock band off the roster. So we'd go, can you take this DJ as well, that kind of thing. So that started happening about then, but it became really prevalent about 10 years ago with agencies like Coda and William Morris really starting to throw their weight around in that area, and almost sort of forcing you to take DJs so you could get the headline you wanted, that kind of thing.
And what if you didn't do the things they wanted them to do?
I've never personally played ball that much with that. I know other promoters I work with do that more often, and I've always been like, you know, they also want to play your gig. Let's not forget that. So I generally try not to do that, unless the DJ does fit, you know, and then you go, oh, you know, let's help them out here because the DJ probably does work on the bill. But sometimes you get offered people that they know as well. They, you know, it's just they can't shift gigs for them, so they're trying to, you know, get them somewhere on the bill, and they do put a bit of pressure on. But I try not to. I try and explain that it's too late, or that they know as well as I do that there's no point having them on there. Time to get rid of them.
and as a proportion of what you spend on any given show, is the DJ costs always been the same? Or is it higher now or lower now than it was?
No, the cost of talent is crazy now. I think it's getting to a point a bit like it did when the millennium happened. When the millennium happened, that's when DJ costs went astronomical.
Do you mean the New Year's Eve?
Yeah, the New Year's Eve. That's when people were being paid, you know, 75 grand for, you know, a 90-minute set, and probably 3 in the country, getting helicopters around. People like Fatboy Slim, and I know Basement Jack's got paid a fortune that night, and it caused real problems after the after effects, because then they'd set this bar, and DJs were like, oh, maybe I can get that on other days of the year as well, or something close to it. So I think that's when festivals started to have to pay much larger sums of money for people like for the headliners, and it feels like it's getting as bad as that now, just because of the sheer amount of competition in London. I'm mainly talking about London, although I did speak to the Warehouse Project the other day, and they were like, they said that a huge festival started somewhere in the world on their weekends. That is then causing them problems as well, because obviously everyone can't just be in one place on one date every year. So yeah, it's competition around the world, but London's just crazy now. Just when you think you have got your date sorted, and you know, you haven't at least got loads of things happening on your date, you know, never mind kind of in that summer period, a 3-month period, something will pop up, you know, out of the blue. It's happened to me twice in the last few weeks, sort of discovering things that are on the same day as Field Day, which Bugged Out is part of.
The festival?
Yeah. I do a pop festival called Mighty Hoopla, and I just found out the biggest pop act on the planet is now on the same date as us, so we're having to move our date. So yeah, that's. But yeah, the cost of talent is just gone through the roof, and even DJs that have been around for 30 years, who probably would have got $3 grand a few years ago, are now getting, you know, asking for 10, and still holding residencies in London.
I think we both thinking about the same DJ when you said that.
We've actually binned him off from Field Day because of the 10 grand, and we paid him 8 last year. Like, I don't know what's changed in the last year. Nothing. He doesn't put records out, but it's also just because he wants to do too many things, too many of the festivals, and keep this residency.
So, what is your approach or your solution to this squeeze with higher talent costs? How do you solve that problem as a promoter?
You obviously have to stick to your guns at some point. There is a DJ that's very hot at the moment that we have already offered, I'd say 50% more than what we thought he should be getting. But then you sort of start to look at things like, we kind of really need him because we've lost some other DJs to another festival, so we do need this act. And then you have to sort of, and then he sold out a show in London recently, 2,000 tickets very quickly, so you're like, okay, he's hot, let's definitely increase the offer to what they want. And then they came back and asked for another $5 grand on top of that, and that was like, no, you have to at some point go, that's ridiculous. That's twice what we initially offered, and then you have to sort of wait where he might go, because you obviously don't want to go to your direct competition. But we kind of worked out where this 20 grand offer had come from. And because we didn't feel it was a threat, we were like, well, we'll just go and play that then, and we'll withdraw our offer. So you have a bit of power with your brand still. DJs won't just play anywhere. Again, I remember when Disclosure were really hot, and we offered on them for field day, and another major London festival offered them 20 grand more than us. And that Disclosure still did field day because the guys themselves had been the year before, seen some track playing in the exact same slot we were offering them, and they were like, it's the festival we need to do that year. And they were totally right, because they were field days, a breeding ground for newer talent, and they were at that point where they had 2 singles out and album hadn't quite come out yet, so it was right for them. So
the strength of your own brand or brands is a bargaining chip in the negotiations.
Yes, definitely, because you know that sort of people will want to play field day, all bugged out to an extent, and so there's a point where you can say that's too much.
Okay. So what's your current setup as Bugged Out? How many people are involved? How do you structure what shows you do and what shows you don't do? How do you make that decision?
There's 4 of us involved. It's a small team, and we generally do probably got to a point in our career, 25 years in, where, because I do lots of other things as well, it's we mainly do shows that we want to do rather than just filling the diary up. So we work with a lot of people that we've worked with for years, like Errol Alcott and Hot Chip. And then we take on new shows just because we like the artist. So we're doing DJ Seinfeld on Saturday, just because I quite like that scene that he came out of. And so yeah, it's good to do some, and we're doing the Bicep live shows as well. So we're kind of still not just doing our old friends all the time, but acts that we respect and like, and actually would want to go to. So I don't want to be out every week.
So what's your attitude to risk? If you're approaching a show where it feels risky, how do you make the decisions on whether or not to do it?
I really try not to take on shows that are risky anymore. We had a year a few years ago where we had like about 5 that lost money, and it's just kind of, you know, the amount of effort you put into shows that aren't selling as well, it's so time consuming. Whereas last year we literally just looked at the ones that we know were going to work and didn't lose money on anything, and they all sold out. But then I guess you're slightly risking your brand by not doing anything, taking on newer things. So, you know, the Seinfeld show I weighed up by checking how the Phonop show had done, and it sold out in the last week apparently, which this one looks like it's going to do. It's been quite hard work, but it looks like it's going in this last week again. So yeah, we try not to take too much risk, because I just haven't got the time to. I did an experiential club night recently as a sort of test to see if it would work, and it just took probably more time than all other 9 shows I was working on. All the other 9 shows were kind of selling happily, and yeah, some needs.
Was that the time it took you to promote it or to create it?
To both, like everything, creation and then mainly promotion. I had a list every day of things to do, and there's this huge column of ideas for this show that wasn't selling, and then barely anything for the others because they were just ticking along quite nicely. So it's also a risk to your own time, because it means that you're not doing other, more important things.
So putting on safer artists, or artists that you know will work, reduces the variability of outcome.
Yeah. Okay. Like we've done a Hot Chip Christmas party, or Hot Chip Halloween parties for the last sort of 5 years. This time they wanted a lot more money, so I had to sort of weigh up, okay, we can pay. I look back at the last event and realise that we did a lot of tickets at £22.50 in the last week, so it's maybe a bit bolder with it, going we can go in with a high ticket price and end up probably on £25, and the bank can get paid better, and we'll still make probably about the same amount. So yeah, you sometimes look at past events, but then when we put it on sale, I was a bit like, they haven't had anything out for 2 years, whereas 2 years ago when we did the last Christmas party, they'd had a hot album and been touring. So I did get a bit nervous at the last minute, and then it's been flying out, thankfully. So.
Okay, and so with regard to, I'm talking in my blog about a concept called ergodicity, which is the idea that the idea of events or the downside of an event being able to stop you in your tracks, being able to do future events. So the most obvious and outright form of ergodicity is bankruptcy. But practitioners tend to calculate the ergodicity or subconsciously calculate the level of risk they'll take or the level of loss they'll take based more on a time period or an absolute number. Do you ever think in those terms? Do you think that show looks really safe, but if it goes wrong, that could end me? And do you think in those terms?
I have to with festivals, especially because, for example, Mighty Hoopla, with it being new, all your profit and a lot of loss can be in the last sort of few thousand that you need to get to make money. And Mighty Hoopla actually hasn't really lost much money, to be honest, so it's kind of, but you do have to sort of look at your bank account and go, how badly could this potentially go wrong? Not talking about that in particular, but you do sort of, anything I go into, I go, right, I've got that amount left in my bank. If that goes wrong, it's surely not going to go wronger than this amount, and so I can afford my amount of shares to risk on it. We actually sold the magazine Jockey Slut in 1999. I had a lot of money in the bank, and we decided to do the first Bugged Out weekend of the following year. Bugged Out was doing like 4,000 people every month up in Liverpool, and so we based it near Liverpool in North Wales, but we just didn't promote it well. It was a very late promotion. We did it with SJM, and I think we even only flyed the club in Liverpool once before it. There was no Facebook, no Twitter, so you couldn't do anything last minute to sort of get people up there, and it lost so much money that it wiped out all my Jockey Slut money, and I had to take a loan out. So that obviously really hurt, because I would have bought a house back then if I hadn't done that in London. But also it really knocked our confidence for years. We went from being really cocky to sort of going, we're fallible, and it also happened at the time that music really shifted, and Cream, the club that we were housed in Liverpool, faltered. There was a huge shift in demand for clubbing, and it kind of fell off the map, and so that happened at the same time, and we almost gave up. I was almost like thinking, what else can I do? so it knocks your confidence in yourself, and so we stopped taking risks on certain artists, we stopped taking risks on the size of clubs we were doing, and then other promoters like Shibuku, Richard McGuinness, all came into our, that period of uncertainty. So someone bolder came in when we lost our nerve, kind of thing. So we ended up leaving Liverpool a couple of years later, I think.
Do you think that if you hadn't just sold Jockey Slut, if you weren't at the time cash rich, you'd have taken the risk on the first Bugged Out weekend of festival?
I think we would have done, and I would have been in a real, I would have been totally bankrupt. I think we would have done just because the club night was doing so well, and we were just like, we only need 3,500 people to go to Prestatyn. We're doing 4,000 every month in Liverpool. People will travel from around the country, and we had an amazing lineup. We had like Underworld and Represent when they were probably at their hottest. Richie Horton, Ken Walker Brothers DJing. The lineup's mental when you look at it. But we just didn't promote it, long enough. I think it had like 2-3 months promotion, and for something that big, even when we did we resurrected the weekend in 2012, we only gave that 4 months promotion. Again, it wasn't enough. Everything needs 6 months plus. If you do, festivals are different beasts to club nights, obviously. So
when you decided to do it again many years later, were you then in a position to lose more money, or were you?
No, we had an investor, and all we lost again that time was our time and not money. But obviously, we put so much time into it that you have to look at it as money.
Yeah.
Because we employed one of the members of staff was pretty much full time just on that. So even just looking at their wages. And then the problem with that was sometimes events, they always sort of say you lose on the first, you break even on the second, and then you make profit on the third. That's usually the plan with festivals, and we were gonna make profit on the sixth one, and then our venue kicked us out. So all that time and effort went to nothing really, other than they were 5 great events and everyone loved them.
Yeah.
But financially, not good for us.
Was it good for the brand?
Yeah, it definitely resurrected the brand at a time when, again, there was this big shift in music. There seems to be a big shift every 15 years, and all the people that were in the smallest room at the first one were headlining the second year. So people like your Jack Masters and Mary Jane Coles, It's Everything, they all came through in that first year, either way down the bill or in the small room. And so we managed to sort of catch that wave of those acts because we were booking for the weekend and for field day. Some of them would then play for us at XOY or wherever. I remember we had an XOY with Ben UFO, Jack Master and Bicep on the bill, which Bicep in the small room. And
wow.
Yeah, and that probably wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the weekend, because we obviously then had conversations with the agents and the acts themselves.
Okay. When you're looking at the start of the year, what stops you doing more events than you do? What's the limit to your size and scale?
Probably with Bugged Out, it'll be down to what else I'm now doing. So my Hoopla's taking a lot of my time up. I do a Christmas event called Winterville, which I'm right in the middle of. So I do look at my diary and be
your
like,
personal time.
Yeah, when am I able to sort of take? The problem is though, most club nights happen at the same time as when you're trying to book field day, and everything seems to happen in September and October, and then the clubs happen in November as well. But that's my really, really busy period, which I'm in at the moment.
Well, thanks for doing this. Yeah. With regard to any given event that you do, talent-led, if it's got a theme or not, to what degree do you think people want novelty and new, and to what degree do people want the familiar?
I think at the moment they want a bit of both. I think things like Elro is a good example of that, where they'll know what music they're getting. It's kind of meat and potatoes, house music. They kind of will generally know what DJs will be on the bill, even if they've not been announced yet. Because the same DJs love playing for Elro. And then obviously the brand itself is just really fun. So I think that's a combination of novelty and familiarity. If everyone turned up at Elro one time and it was like Dave Clark playing banging techno, it wouldn't go down very well. But they know they're going to get the same kind of house music each time. And I think also we've been trying to bring elements of that into some of our events. So with Errol Alkin this Saturday, we've hired a new venue, and he basically has this brand where he DJs and he controls the lights, and that's kind of the gimmick enough in a sense. But we wanted to take it a bit further, so we've basically got Sync the Pink set designer to help, not design a set, but there's dance platforms dotted around the venue with LED lights around, and that Errol can also control, and some other elements of production. So again, that's just a way of trying to make people go, it's going to be like the Village Underground show, but it's going to have knobs on. It's going to be, yeah.
And when you do that, when you invest in production that might not necessarily sell tickets in advance, is that with a view to future collaboration with that artist?
I think...
Or is it for the Bugged Out brand, or neither?
Yeah, a bit of both. I think it's also for us personally and for Errol. I remember he wasn't sure whether he wanted to do another show like that this year. And I kind of convinced him, and it was like by saying, why don't we do this, that it convinced him to do this show in November. I just think he's the kind of artist that likes to try different things as well, doesn't just want to turn up and DJ for 2 hours. He's playing all night. You know, he's been to all the site visits. He gets really involved, and it's kind of more fun for me as well. Then,
yeah,
I'm actually looking forward to going to the show. Whereas if I'm just sort of booking a lineup, an agent's told me to book, and I'm just promoting it, I'm just not as engaged, or you know, maybe edit that bit out. Stop getting those gigs.
Do you tell a story with your shows? Is there always a narrative feel, or is there ever a narrative feel to the way in which you book the DJs, or the way do you have themes to the night in any way?
I used to a lot more musically, I suppose, when we were doing places with three rooms like the end, where you kind of knew exactly, you know, when the night would peak, and so you'd obviously book appropriately. I used to love booking warm-up DJs for the end and DJs for the 4 till 7 slot, because you know, people used to go out clubbing till 7 o'clock regularly then, and then go to after parties. This was like 10, 15 years ago, and so yeah, you tell a musical, there'd be a musical narrative. Yeah, and I used to like really, if I was booking someone like Miss Kitten for the peak time, which would generally be about 2 a.m, I used to really enjoy knowing who would work well before her and after her, and also there was a bit of a personal thing then. I still used to like dancing then, so I'd sometimes book people I liked at 4 o'clock. So by then the till would be cashed up, everything would be done, and I could enjoy myself. So I remember booking Bradinsky for the first time and giving him that slot, and yeah, it's a bit of an honour for him because he was following a huge DJ, but I just knew how good that slot was if you get it right, and he used to nail it every time back then. He played just the right kind of music. He wasn't playing like he does now. He was a lot deeper back then. So yeah, it was kind of a thrill as well, because you sort of used to sort of really, I used to buzz off giving young talent like him such a big slot in such a major venue, and just seeing him, you know, he would, you know, exploded with excitement by the end of it, and yeah.
And would bringing through talent, would bringing through new talent pay dividends further down the line? Would they stay loyal to you?
Yeah.
And do they today?
Yeah, a lot of them, especially from that period, have stayed loyal. Some of them we signed to our DJ agency, so that helps as well. But yeah, others have fallen away. You know, there was some quite major artists we were doing the Black Madonna shows until she got her XOY residency, and then it all went to pot after that.
Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, I think if you do a good job with an artist, although to be honest, the Black Madonna shows are now gone to Crank Brother, and fair play to them, they put the effort in by, you know, their thing is finding really unusual venues for people to play in, doing really great production, doing food and stuff with it, and although I did go to Dan Avery's management with a similar kind of idea, like him playing in the round, etc., blah blah blah, you know, they nailed it by getting the venue right. So, you know, I don't really, some promoters really throw their toys out the pram when an artist they think they should get goes to another promoter, but I think if you're the promoters, you know, come up with a great idea, I kind of respect that. So
amazing. Thank you very much. I don't have any more questions. Thank you very much for doing this.
All right, thanks, man.
Johnno Burgess, bugged out.